show you another computer. This machine is quite generic, but it has its uses, and it's good for later DOS gaming from the early to mid 90s. It has a Pentium 133, 48 megs of RAM, an 8x CD-ROM, and a 2 GB Quantum Bigfoot drive. And the software is MS-DOS 6.22, as you can see there, if the camera will focus. Yep, version 6.22, and Windows 3.1. And I actually managed to get a PCI graphics card that had drivers for Windows 3.1, so got the ATI Mach 64 and a Sound Blaster AWE32. Just to go demonstrate a little bit of the wavetable synthesis here, let's go into accessories and the media player. And now, of course, the default MIDI file that most people usually open is Canyon. Alright, as you could hear, the reverberation effects and the chorus effect that the AWE64 provides. Of course, this is only the value version. Now, the hardware is going to be the main part of this video, so let's get into that now. I have the machine cracked open, pretty much your box standard baby AT motherboard of the time. Have some PCI slots, some ISA slots. One of these, of course, is filled with the AWE64 sound card, as you can see here. Only having 512K of memory, but it works well. Who knows, one day I may get that daughter card for it. And the graphics card is something that I should mention. It is an ATI Mach 64. The last, if I do believe, non-3D accelerated graphics card that ATI made. It's upgraded to 2 megabytes, as you can see. Those memory, oh gosh, if the camera will focus, those memory chips right there. And those brown slots. And this card does have drivers for Windows 3.1, which is the main reason why I bought it. Now, if you've noticed, there is no PS2 ports on this machine. It uses a DIN connector that the old AT style computers used. So, what I did is I got a serial mouse, and I used one of these DIN style to PS2 converters here that I had laying around. Now this machine I actually fixed, and it was actually a very interesting fix, and I will show you that right now. Alright, now I have the machine apart, even the heatsink taken off, because I'm going to go talk about the CPU just a little bit. But I'm going to show you the repair that I made. It's quite interesting. When I got this machine, it was completely non-functional. It showed no signs of life. I thought that the motherboard had some irreparable problem with it, but I found there was a trace that was completely burnt off of the board. I have no clue how this happened, but it did. So as you can see, what I did is I got a piece of wire and soldered it from point to point. Of course, after scraping the green solder mask off of the PCB. Now, the reason, another reason why I took this whole thing apart is so I could put some insulation on this wire here, because it's very close to these pins for the ISA slot, and that is a bit too uncomfortably close. So after this video I will do that. Alright, now let's take a look at this processor. Just go pop it out of its socket there. Of course, it's a ceramic packaged Pentium. Does not have the gold heat spreader. If I can zoom in here, if I can. Oh, there we go. This is a Pentium 133. The only problem with the Pentium processors is it's not 100% backwards compatible, such as programs that are CPU speed dependent that I've found out will not run on this because it gives a divide by zero error. So I will put this back in its socket. If I can fit it in there. Close the lock, close the lever. Now let's just go take a closer look at some of the other hardware that is in this machine. First of all, we have 16 megs of memory right here. These are the original sticks that were in the computer. But in my collection I had 32 megs, I believe this is, of 70 pin sims. Actually, I believe it's 72 pin. But I got that, and I stuck it in here, and it worked. So I have 48 megs of RAM, as the operating system reports it. So, of course, we just have our standard Intel chipsets. Nothing too special. And when I got this machine also, the clock battery was dead, but all I had to do was put a new one in there. So as far as expansion cards, here's that ATI Mach 64 that I have right here. We can get a clear shot of all the parts, components in here. Of course, it's just a standard VGA card, PCI. And now let's look at the more interesting card, the AWE64. Now, if you're experienced with DOS computing, you probably know this, but you probably need a specific sound card to get most DOS games to work. If you've tried gaming on a slightly newer PC, such as a Pentium 4 based computer, and your DOS games have no sound, then that's the reason, because it doesn't have a proper sound card that it needs. And of course, here's the brackets and all that stuff. But probably one of the most interesting things about this computer is the hard drive that is installed. Because I really don't want to remove the power supply, I'm going to try to get a shot of it in here. See that? Right up in here, I'm touching it. This is a Quantum Bigfoot hard drive. 5 1/4 inch. It's 2.1 gigs in size. It's very loud when in operation, and it takes a while to spin up and spin down. Of course, on top of this is just your generic CD-ROM, an 8X, and then a 250 watt power supply. So I will put this machine back together, of course, after making the necessary repairs to this motherboard. Putting some hot glue, I believe, would be a good insulator. Would be easy to. Alright, I will be back in a jiffy. Just something real quick to mention. And this bank of pins right here, right beside the power connector, keyboard port, and serial headers, there are options for you to hook in PS2 ports, and amazingly, on a machine of this vintage, USB. Something quite interesting about this machine is it has no model number. It just says CTX, and as you can see, I tried to go pull up that sticker with the serial number on it, but it had nothing. So I really don't know if this is the only machine that they made, or maybe it was a whole line, but I'm not sure. Oh well, time for the software demonstration. Really, as far as software, there's not too much to this machine. I just installed this OS recently, but there's a few features with the Sound Blaster AWE64, and why not show you a comparison between FM synthesis and the wavetable synthesis that the AWE64 provides. So I'm going to go into Windows 3.1 here. Of course, I'll be using the Canyon MIDI track again, because that doesn't seem to have any copyright problems from what I've heard. So I will go ahead and play the Canyon MIDI track here. Open this. And there we go. Give you a better listen. Okay. Now I will show you the FM synthesis, and let me switch the MIDI mapper here. Okay, I am back, and I have the MIDI mapper set to FM synthesis here, so I will go ahead and play. Well, actually, let me go start it from the beginning. Okay. As you could hear, a considerable difference from the wavetable synthesis. And the wavetable synthesis sounds far more fluid, and of course the reverberation and chorus effect adds some niceness to the sound of MIDI files. So I can't really think of any more to do with the software demonstration. Actually, I do have a couple of games on here, so I'm going to get to at least one of those. Alright, I have a game queued up here, Descent. Has some nice wavetable music. It runs very well, as you would expect from a Pentium machine. It runs nice and smooth. It pretty much maxes out. Oh gosh. Come on, focus. Come on, there. That's better. And I'm going to go start a new game. Actually, do I have any... Nope, no saved games. Load game. I'll just go kind of go through all this. Go through all this introductory stuff. Alright. Of course, I'm only using one hand, so I can't play it to the fullness of its ability. So, like, it runs well. I can... Oh my gosh, I'm getting killed by the first ship here. Have to kind of switch hands. Alright, but yes. Pretty much not much to show. I mean, like, you got a map here. Software-wise, since this is a fairly fresh installation of DOS and Windows, not much to show. And I guess that'll be it. Want to exit out. And I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a comment if you had one. And please comment about the camera situation, because I got this camera, which is a lower quality, but it's a lot more steady, and of course it has the zoom feature, and it focuses better than the other one, even though it's a bit lower quality. But I'll just leave a comment. In my next video will probably be about this thing. This is the IBM PC Junior from 1983. It's a very odd little computer. And as you can see, instead of expansion cards, and I got a little turbo switch over here, but instead of expansion cards, it uses these sidecar things. So, alright, I guess that's it.